You are now locked in the Conspiracy Asylum. Your straitjacket and padded cell awaits.
Hello and welcome to the Conspiracy Asylum. This is DJ Schwartz once again, and I'm rolling with the K to the I to the M. My better half, left shoe, right shoe, peanut butter jelly dildo asshole.
Hi, it's
Hi.
me, Kim.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, guys.
And today we are going to be doing an episode on the Rendlesham Forest incident and the Phoenix Lights. I originally was just going to do it on the Rendlesham Forest incident, but I decided that was going to be too short of an episode. So we're going to do two topics tonight.
All right, I'm good with that.
And we do have a trivia question this week. And the trivia question is going to be on shadow people. But first I'm going to give you the answer to last week's trivia question. Last week's trivia question, if you remember, it was on Kaylee Anthony. And the trivia question was, what was the name of the nanny that Casey Anthony pretty much made up? What was Kaylee Anthony's supposed nanny?
And that was Zanny the nanny.
It was Zanny the nanny. Zanandra Gonzalez. Just completely, there was a person actually named that, and she sued Casey Anthony for defamation.
I would too.
Me too, yeah. So I'm thinking she just found her in the phone book and was like, yep, this is the nanny. This is the name.
Yep.
But the question this week is going to be about shadow people. And the question is, what is the most common form of a shadow person, according to eyewitness accounts? Formation, apparition that people see as a shadow person. Go ahead and email us, theconspiracyasylum@gmail.com. You also can go to conspiracyasylum.simdiv.com and go to the contact section and enter your name, email address, and stuff like that. And you contact us from there too, if that's any easier. We had one guy last week that actually hit us up, and he had a book that I'm going to read, and it's about aliens. So it's pretty cool. We're going to have him on the show eventually. Pretty excited about that. Pretty excited about the 727 podcast. Going to eventually be on that show. Going to be on their new show, which I'm not giving you the name of it till I get permission from that guy.
From that guy.
That guy. Because I cannot remember his name right now.
That really narrows it down, babe.
Like I said, this week, it's going to be the Rendlesham Forest incident and the Phoenix Lights. If you guys do not know what either of those are.
Like me.
She does not know. I know because I am a psychopath that watches nothing but alien movies and documentaries and serial killer shit. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have no clue, but we'll go along with it. I'm here for, you guys get to hear my reactions to this crap, so it should be pretty good.
We'll go in depth on it, but I'll give you a quick synopsis of both of them. And the first one, the Rendlesham Forest incident, is basically a 3-day event that happened in Suffolk, England. And it was an event where some police officers, among other just regular civilians, had witnessed UFO sightings 3 nights in a row. And with the Phoenix Lights, that one actually is fairly new. The Rendlesham Forest incident happened in 1980 on Christmas Day. And it was the day after Christmas and then the day after that also. But the Phoenix Lights happened fairly recently. It was 1996
that
this happened.
That's a lot, not exactly fairly recently either.
Compared to most of the stuff we cover, though.
That's over 20 years old.
But compared to most of the stuff that we cover.
Okay.
Like Dyatlov's Pass, that was 1959.
Okay.
JFK was 63. So, I mean, at least it's within our lifetimes.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that one was basically thousands of people witnessed 5 lights in the sky fly over Phoenix. And there was a big PR disaster after that, if you want to call it that. Shall we go right into Rendlesham Forest?
Have at it.
All right, Rendlesham Forest incident. Now, if you guys want to find information on either of these, a great site to go to is the MUFON website. MUFON.
That's a fun word.
It's MUFON, and MUFON stands for Mutual UFO Network. So if you go to that website, it will give you any information on any kind of official UFO event. And of course, the Phoenix Lights, Rendlesham Forest, you got Roswell, there's so many out there. There's some really cool ones you should check out. But these are the two that kind of stand out to me all the time. Just because there's so many witnesses. There's so many people that have seen this that it's crazy. And it's a lot of people that are in higher up places. It's not like your, hodunk middle of nowhere people that everybody thinks of when they think of alien abduction and everything like that. It's normal people like you and me. So we'll get into the Rendlesham Forest. We're going to start out with a quote from Nick Pope, working for the Ministry of Defense from 1985 to 2006. And he's the one that's responsible for reopening the Rendlesham Forest incident. Because the Rendlesham Forest incident happened 5 years before he became a part of the Ministry of Defense. Here's his quote about it. "I've gone on record saying Rendlesham might be the turning point in history that leads to the explanation of UFO phenomena." I mean, basically he's saying, this is one of the most important UFO events to really ever happen. And Nick Pope, if you've seen him, if anybody that's into any kind of UFO research, if you see him, you're going to recognize him if you don't recognize the name already. All right, the Rendlesham Forest incident, also known as Britain's Roswell, is undoubtedly one of the best documented and most significant military encounters with a craft of unknown origin or UFO. It is also a case that involved very credible witnesses, trained USAF, United States Air Force observers, and security police. So this involved a lot of people that were working around the military base that was right over there. A lot of people from the US, if you didn't catch that, because it was around a US military base. But this is still in Suffolk, England. The incident spanned 3 days in 1980, Christmas Day to the 27th. Rendlesham Forest is a large pine forest east of Ipswich in Suffolk, England. I had to look up how to pronounce that just a minute ago. But it's Ipswich.
Yeah, I'd screw that up.
It's spelt just like it sounds.
Okay.
Yeah. Nearby are the twin NATO Air Force bases, the RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge, which are two different bases. At the time, both bases were being leased to the United States Air Force. Several UFO incidences, including multiple witness sightings by military personnel and ground traces, radioactive anomalies, were reported from the Rendlesham Forest. According to the USAF security patrolman on duty, the object was described as a metallic in appearance and triangular in shape. Approximately 2 to 3 meters across the base, it illuminated the entire forest with a white light and had a pulsing red light on top and banks of blue lights underneath. In November of 2002, the British Ministry of Defense released the Rendlesham file of documents related to and confirming the Rendlesham Forest incident. I actually didn't know that they actually came out and acknowledged it. At first, they hadn't acknowledged it until 2002.
Jeez.
So, this was in 1980 when it happened. And here's some quick quotes from a couple of people that were witnesses to the Rendlesham Forest incident. This quote is from Sergeant James Peniston.
Peniston?
Not the Peniston. James 3-inch Peniston, interviewed by ABC Television 2005. What I once believed is no more, and what I've witnessed defies all that I have ever imagined. I am truly in awe over the whole incident, and no one can fully understand the magnitude of this event unless you were there. So this is coming from an Army sergeant.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. There's a couple more quotes from other sergeants that were in there, but that was the most significant one that I found. All right, so we're going to start off on December 26th, 1980, around 3 a.m. Strange lights were reported by security patrol near the east gate of RAF Woodbridge, apparently descending into nearby Rendlesham Forest. Servicemen initially thought it was a downed aircraft, but upon entering the forest to investigate, they saw, according to Halt's memo, a strange glowing object. Now, Halt?
That just makes me think of the whole Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns has too much radiation and goes off into the forest and he's all dilated and he comes out looking like an alien and saying, I bring you love and I bring you peace. So that's the only thing I'm imagining while you're reading all this stuff. Yeah, that's my side squirrel for this episode.
Side squirrel. It's all good. All right, as I was saying before the side squirrel happened, before she started side squirreling.
I do that.
Squirrely, squirrely.
Squirty, squirty.
It's all good. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt is what most of this story actually centers around. That's the Halt that I had mentioned previously. Now, according to Halt's memo, a strange glowing object, metallic in appearance and with colored lights, is how he described this object. As they approached, it moved through the trees, and the animals on a nearby farm went into a frenzy. The craft left 3 impressions or depressions in the ground that were visible the next day. One of the servicemen, Sergeant Peniston again. Good old 3-inch, James 3-inch Peniston.
You better hope he doesn't listen to this.
He's probably dead.
Okay.
Later claimed to have encountered a craft of unknown origin and to have made detailed notes of features, touched its warm surface. So this guy actually touched
So he
the
touched
craft.
his 3-inch wiener to the
touched
warm
his
surface.
craft. He touched his craft. Now, this might be the trivia question next week. What did Peniston touch? It'll be his craft. But and copied the numerous symbols on its body. The object allegedly flew away after their brief encounter. Peniston also... I can't. Peniston.
Are you sure?
That's how you say it. That's for sure how you say it. I'm really hoping that's how you say it. Peniston also claimed to have seen a triangular
butthole
symbols on its body. Yes, triangular butthole. Normally that's known as a chocolate starfish. And if you want to know what a chocolate starfish looks like, all you have to do is donate $50 to Patreon.
Oh my god, no.
And then you get my chocolate starfish and my hot dog flavored water. The object allegedly flew away after the brief encounter. While undergoing regression hypnosis in 1994, Peniston subsequently landed the craft. Damn it. I can't even say his name without laughing now.
Mr. P.
Mr. P. We'll call him PP from now on. No, that's even worse. Okay. While undergoing regression hypnosis in 1994, Peniston subsequently claimed that the craft he encountered had come from our future and was occupied by time travelers, not testicles. Extraterrestrials, not extraterrestrials. Extra testicles.
Extra testicles.
It did not contain extra testicles. Mr. Peniston needed some extra testicles. We are so mature. Sergeant Peniston's report, made shortly after the incident, contains no mention of physically encountering an unknown craft, nor interacting with it. This report and associated sketches are neither signed nor dated, nor are they representative of AF Form 1169 Statement of Witness. So basically, they're just saying that it is not any affiliation with the Air Force. They are not condoning him coming out and saying this stuff whatsoever, which is typical. Usually the military with that kind of stuff, they don't really want you talking about it, which after I'm done with this, I'm going to tell you why I think so. But shortly after 4 a.m., local police were called to the scene, but reported that the only lights they could see were those from the Orford Ness Lighthouse, some miles away from the coast. Now, this is what most skeptics say that's what they saw.
Okay.
It was the lighthouse lights in the forest.
Interesting.
After daybreak, servicemen returned to a small clearing near the eastern edge of the forest and found 3 small impressions in a triangular pattern, as well as burn marks and broken branches on nearby trees.
That was Mr. Burns.
It was Mr. Burns. Jesus Christ, Mr. Burns. Plaster casts of the imprints were taken and have been shown in television documentaries. At 10:30 a.m., the local police were called out again, this time to see the impressions on the ground, which they thought could have been made by an animal.
Really?
And they're like, if you look at the impressions, that ain't no animal. They're like karate chops.
Like an animal's gonna toast to the ground in that area.
Well,
too.
It's not so much that is like it's fucking the impressions are like karate chops in the ground.
Interesting.
So they're not like it's like definitely a intelligent made craft. Something landed there that was not a deer.
Right.
So
yeah, no bear is gonna do that.
Exactly. Now, December 28th, 1980. Several servicemen and Holt returned to the site again in the early hours of the 28th with a radiation detector, a Geiger counter, which detects radiation in depressions, and on the rear side of the tree. There was a tree right there. One of the trees, they detected radiation on it. Although the significance of the readings they obtained is disputed. The Deputy Base Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles I. Holt, investigated this sighting personally and recorded the events on a microcassette recorder. And for those kids that do not know what that is, that's this little tape thing.
From like the 80s and 90s, back when the 8-tracks are cool.
Yep.
That was before my time.
Yeah, we had CDs. And this is known as the Holt tape. You can download it online. I downloaded it and I listened to it a little bit. I might throw some clips up in here somewhere. I don't know yet. I don't know. Basically, it is him reacting to these lights, and it's very genuine. But it was during the investigation that a flashing light was seen across the field to the east, almost in line with a farmhouse. The Orford Ness Lighthouse is visible further to the east in the same line of sight. So they're basically saying that it couldn't have been the lighthouse because the lighthouse, like if you're looking directly in front of you, that's where the light was. And the lighthouse was like north, if you know, northeast. So basically not in straight northeast, 45 degrees. But like if you went like maybe 10 or 15 degrees off of north to the east side. East side?
No.
East side?
No.
Wu-Tang.
Maybe you'll learn not to talk with your hands.
Wu-Tang. You know, the
Wu-Tang Clan.
Wu-Tang, babe.
Yeah.
You down with Wu-Tang?
No.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing to fuck with. Am I right, guys? Am I right? I'm right. I got no one responding to me.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the cat? Wu-Tang cat. Wu-Tang. Later, star-like lights were seen in the sky to the north and south, the brightest of which seemed to beam down a stream of light from time to time. There are claims that the incident was videoed by the USAF, but if so, the resulting tape has not been made public. And another thing I have to say about this is like the full...
You and your hand talking.
This is... I keep on hitting my stand.
You're like hand driving over here.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. What it is that this is like the whole incident. I've pretty much memorized both of these incidences because I've been into them since I was a kid. So basically what happens is the first night, the 25th, is when the original sighting happens and everybody kind of like brushes it aside. And then they get another report the next night, and this is when Lieutenant Charles I. Halt gets involved. And that's when the famous Halt tapes are made, is that night when he went out to basically disprove this. He grabbed a Geiger counter. He's like, look, we're going to prove that this is just like an animal out there and it's some reflection off the White House. Not the White House.
Off the lighthouse.
The lighthouse. I can't talk.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's a reflection off the lighthouse, wouldn't it have shadows casted on other trees?
And it's not only that. There's so many things wrong with it wasn't the lighthouse. The way this guy was describing it, he's been there for a while.
Right.
He knows his surroundings. He knows what a lighthouse does.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a red light that they saw. Said they saw. And it was this red light. Once Halt and his whole crew got there, he went there with some other military personnel.
Was that Peniston person?
I don't know if it was Peniston himself. The one and only Icy Wiener.
Yep, we brought Icy Wiener with
He brought
him.
Wiener with. No. So he can get his balls off the aircraft. His testicles. What happened was they arrived and they were there to debunk it. They were there to not. They weren't into. Like the guy said during a History Channel episode of something, he had come out and said, this isn't exactly career enhancing for me to come out and say this stuff. So this isn't going to help him in any way, shape, or form. This is something that if he comes out with it, it's going to hurt him more than help him.
Exactly.
So that makes him even more credible in my mind. And what happened was they went out there to debunk it and everything. They brought the Geiger counter, brought the tape recorder, and he stopped recording for a little bit because they had found the spot and he had recorded like, okay, yeah, there's radiation here and shit. And they were just going to leave because they were on their way out when they actually encountered their own UFO incident.
Served them right.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, okay, well, there are higher radiation levels, which the radiation was 10 times higher than the surrounding areas. So that little triangle had, I think, 7 out of 10 is what the Geiger counter read. That's what the Geiger counter read, was 7/10, which is 10 times, apparently, 10 times more than the normal radiation that would come off of, like, me or you.
Interesting.
So.
I don't know. I work at, I work on an island with a power plant, so I'm subject to radiation constantly. So I probably glow at night and I don't even know.
But you don't have 7/10 on you.
Right, probably not.
Yeah, that's 10 times the normal amount. And it was just that little triangle that had the 10 times more than the normal amount. And on their way out is when they saw that little red ball floating through the forest. I'm an alien and all that bullshit. Just flying through the forest.
Is that more like an orb?
Yeah. That's what they basically said that they saw was an orb. And after the orb was just the precursor. The orb came through the forest, and then all of a sudden, what was it?
Oh, you know what just popped in my head?
What?
You've seen Wall-E, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Wally's chasing the little red dot that he sees, and he's like flying by trying to chase this red dot and catch it, and it finally stops, and it looks like a giant spaceship lands over the top of him.
Right.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, fucking Wally.
Yeah.
Can I get your number?
Yeah.
No.
Extra side scroll there.
Yes, it's all good. After the little glowing red orb, it was a precursor. There was 5 ships, what could only be described as UFO ships, showed up. What are you laughing about?
It sounded like you said 5 UFO shits.
I've had some UFO shits this week. Unidentified flying shits.
Oh my goodness.
But there was 5 different craft that showed up. And what happened was one of those UFOs, apparently, this is according to Holt, one of those UFOs flew down to about tree level and started basically scanning the area with a light. Like it was looking for something. Holt and his crew just froze. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what they were seeing. They just froze. And they were thinking in their head, do we report this? They didn't want to radio back to the station that they found aliens.
Right.
They'd get fired, most likely. So, like, they were just sticking it out until the end there. And, like you said, as soon as they appeared, He looked up, and as soon as that light shut off, they were gone in an instant. Way faster than anything that we know of. Now, most UFO sightings that I have heard are pretty easy to debunk. Very easy to debunk. And like, you know me, I can be a skeptic to the nth degree sometimes, where I get annoying with it. But with this one, you know, it really sounds like this happened to them. And it was a pretty freaky event, that's for sure. But of course, after all was said and done, and they reported it back to the base. It wasn't Holt himself that did, but other people reported it to the base, and the Ministry of Defense at the time buried it and said it didn't happen. What you saw was just shooting stars. It was just like they just played it off like nothing happened. So the Ministry of Defense may not come out ever and say that it was UFO. They've come out and said that the incident happened. Now, they didn't come out and say it was aliens. On the contrary, Mr. Holt, who didn't want to say back then that he thought it was of alien origin, came out in 2010 and signed an affidavit.
Really?
Yes. And he came out and signed an affidavit, and this is a quote from the affidavit. Says, I believe that the objects I saw at close quarter, this is a quote, so that I saw at close quarter were extraterrestrial in origin, and that the security services of both the United Kingdom and the United States have attempted, both then and now, to subvert the significance of what occurred at Rendlesham Forest and RAF Bentwaters by the use of well-practiced methods of disinformation. So basically propaganda against anything to do with UFOs. Mm-hmm. Making people think that they're fucking crazy.
Right.
For seeing this shit. Like I was going to say, I can see why the government wouldn't want us to know about UFOs.
Right. It's going to cause like pandemonium, mass chaos.
Not really so much. It's not so much that it'll cause pandemonium or anything like that. It's that people with religious beliefs, for one, believe that we are the only people in the universe because we are God's creations, which I've always thought, why couldn't God have created a bunch of different people? But that's what they believe in their religion. And not only that, is that we've been told a certain thing about our history as humans. And for the government to come out and shatter everything we know about our history would make some people go insane.
There. Okay, sorry.
I was going to start fires up in this bitch.
Yes, we are.
But yeah, he signed that affidavit, which is, that is incredible. I can't believe he actually did that, because that makes that incident that much more plausible.
Right, that's like validity.
Well, because he didn't come out right away and go on to the History Channel right away and say all this shit. He signed an affidavit first. Right. He signed a legal document saying that this shit happened. Mm-hmm. But this is probably I wouldn't say it's the most well-documented case of a UFO sighting in history, because there are more well-documented cases. But I'd say this is the most intriguing just because of the validity of the witnesses.
Right.
The people that are witnessing this stuff. I'm not saying that people that aren't military aren't good people or trustworthy people, but these are people that if they do come out and say this stuff, it's going to ruin their careers. So they have really no motive to come out and say this stuff. They don't have any gain from it, you know? So that's basically all we got on the Rendlesham Forest incident. We're going to get into the Phoenix Lights. The Phoenix Lights, for those that do not know what it is a series of UFO events that happened in the American Southwest and northern Mexico in March of 1997. It is possibly the most witnessed, best witnessed? How would you say that, babe?
It is the most witnessed sighting.
Yeah, in American history, most likely, or in the world. Because, I mean, there's just crazy amount of witnesses for this. So I'm going to go over this article that I found on MUFON.com. Again, check it out. MUFON.com's got a lot of good shit.
MUFON.
Moofy.
MUFON.
Just call me Moofy. They should have a mascot named Moofy. That would be pretty funny. I would think so. The Phoenix Lights, sometimes called the Lights over Phoenix, were a series of widely sighted unidentified flying objects observed in the skies over Arizona, Nevada in the United States, and Sonora, Mexico on Thursday, March 13th, 1997. And I actually pronounced that correctly, I think, which is amazing.
Good job, babe.
Because I don't ever pronounce anything right. Because I'm a round eye. Lights of varying descriptions were seen by thousands of people between 1930 and 2230 military time. So that would be 7:30 and 10:30 normal time at night. So this would be 7:30 to 10:30 p.m.
I mean, part of that isn't truly part of that. We'll get into details.
Well, yeah, that's these are the actual official sightings, and yeah, we will get into that. In a space of about 300 miles from the Nevada line through Phoenix to the edge of Tucson.
Tuscan.
To the Tucson. To the Tuscan. There were allegedly two distinct events involved in the incident. A triangular formation of lights seen to pass over the state and a series of stationary lights seen in the Phoenix area. The United States Air Force identified the second group of lights as flares dropped by an A-10 Warthog aircraft that were on training exercises at the Berry Goldwater Range in southwest Arizona. You fucked me up bad.
Damn straight I did.
I don't think you fucked me up that bad. My tongue just went crazy. But yeah, by strange coincidence, they had a flare exercise at this point in time, too.
Yeah, it's a strange coincidence.
Isn't it, though?
Wink, wink.
It is. It's kind of strange, you know, how that shit happens. Witnesses have claimed to observe a huge Carpenter's square-shaped UFO. If you know what a Carpenter Square is, do you know what that is?
No.
Babe? A Carpenter Square is just like a right angle. It's just like a...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's
like a boomerang, but more pointy?
Yeah, basic. Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
It's got like a ruler on it. And yeah, it's what they use to square stuff up so that your house isn't at a 45-degree angle permanently.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So they observed a huge Carpenter's square-shaped UFO containing 5 spherical lights or possibly light-emanating engines. Oh yeah, Fife Symington. Fife Symington, the governor at the time, this guy's name is fucked. It's F-I-F-E and then Symington. Okay, so Fife Symington, the governor at the time, was one witness to this incident. He later called the object otherworldly, but at first he completely denied the thing and pretty much made fun of it.
Yes, he did.
Made a lot of people pissed off, like really pissed off. We'll get into that too. The lights were reported to have reappeared in 2007. This is something I actually did not know. And in 2008. But these events were quickly attributed to, respectively, military flares dropped by...
flares.
Oh my God. It's laughable.
Right.
It's laughable. They're really going to use the same excuse 10 years later, too.
Right.
Military flares dropped by fighter aircraft at Luke Air Force Base and flares attached to helium balloons released by a civilian. Why would anybody...
Well, could you imagine being in like that fighter jet or whatever, going to release these flares and actually being up in the air with whatever this unidentified flying object is? I'd be shitting my pants.
Well, he wasn't up there with it. What I think they did is that they dropped these flares right after the sightings started happening because they wanted an excuse to blame it on.
Right.
That's just my personal opinion, but it makes sense in my head.
In the documentary we were watching on this, the governor said that they didn't start the flares until like 10:30.
Yep.
And
it was like 9:30, but yeah, the
sightings started at like 7:30 at night, and it lasted for over 2 hours, and it was really slow over Phoenix, whereas
it was two separate events.
But you could tell, by 10 o'clock or 10:30, those were flares being shot off, and those weren't the same type of thing.
Well, and the flares were, they looked like flares in the air. They were just 5. It ended up being, coincidentally, 5 flares, too, that were slowly falling to the earth. Now, this thing was a triangular shaped. People were saying that it casted a shadow. It was this big thing, bigger than a shopping mall. So it wasn't these individual lights. They were all connected. So this wasn't flares at all.
Right, this is a big mass in the sky.
Yeah, thousands of people saw this shit.
And flares probably wouldn't create that kind of a shadow either.
Right. The fact that the governor actually came out later and actually said it, he's another person, like I said earlier. He has nothing to gain from this. If anything, he's got everything to lose from it because of the stigma that's put up for people that believe in UFOs. All of a sudden, you're a tinfoil hat wearing crazy person.
Speaking of, we need to totally do that and just put the tinfoil hats on and just do a podcast for y'all.
You know that on Ohio, one time they interviewed a guy that actually makes helmets like that, and they thought he was going to be like a complete crazy person, but he actually makes them for people with CTE. And he makes them.
What's CTE? I'm not familiar.
CTE is, we talked about in the Chris Benoit episode, actually, which is the one I did by myself. But it is a type of brain disease that normally like football players and boxers and wrestlers get. And it affects your brain in a way the same way that Alzheimer's affects your brain.
Gotcha. Old-timers disease?
Yes, the old-timers disease. And like we discussed in Chris Benoit, his brain was equivalent to an 85-year-old Alzheimer patient.
Jeez.
At 40 years old.
Jeez.
No wonder he snapped and killed his kid.
And his wife.
Okay, now the initial reports. At 18:55 Pacific Standard Time, which they're trying to keep this in the same time zones, but right over by Nevada, Arizona, and California, you got like 4 different time zones because you've got Mountain Time, you've got Pacific Time, you've got 3 different time zones. Mountain Time, Pacific Time, and then Arizona Time, because Arizona does not do daylight savings time. If you did not know that.
Oh, I knew that.
Yeah, they do not do
I've been
daylight
to Phoenix.
savings. Yeah. I have relatives that live near Kingman. I used to go there for Thanksgiving when we were living in Nevada. That was the one I told you my uncle had like goats and shit and like the geese that used to chase us and shit. He had all kinds of cool stuff. Mm-hmm. Mean ass geese. Geese are assholes. Don't get geese. They're assholes. This is a PSA.
Well, I mean, it's pretty common sense you don't chase the geese because they will chase back.
No, I didn't chase them. I was running from them. Me and my sister were scared shitless. All right. So, and this is all military time also. And you got to remember that this is, most of these events end up happening close to military bases. Like Rendlesham, we didn't mention it, but it is actually right by, we mentioned the military bases, but there's also not nuclear weapons, but I do believe a nuclear power plant that was close by. I have to double check that, but there was that type of stuff happening there, and you'll notice that that's where UFOs end up showing up the most, and I think it's them trying to warn us. Okay, at 18:55 Pacific Standard Time, 19:55 Mountain Time, a man reported seeing a V-shaped object over Henderson, Nevada, which is just southeast of Las Vegas, just barely south. It's probably like 15 minutes southeast of Las Vegas. He said it was about the size of a Boeing 747, sounded like a rushing wind, quote, rushing wind, and had 6 lights on its leading edge. The lights reportedly traversed northwest to the southwest. So, yeah, how fucking scared would you have to fucking be? I mean, I think I'd be shitting my pants.
Right, me too.
Like, I don't know. Like, I've always, like, wondered what it'd be like to see a UFO, but in all honesty, I'd probably be shitting
I
my
feel like
pants.
that would be like one of the main reasons if we were to ever own a gun, that would be why we'd own a gun. It's not because of zombies, but it'd be aliens.
I don't think shooting an alien will do anything, though.
You don't think so?
Well, you think about it. If they're that advanced, they probably, if you shoot at them, they probably just catch the motherfucker and eat it or some shit.
Right.
Like, they I don't know what they would do, but an unidentified former police officer from Paulden, Arizona is claimed to have been the next person to report a sighting after leaving his house at about 2015 Mountain Standard Time. So it's about 8:15. These are going to come into play later, the times. 8:15, because remember the flares were supposedly dropped at 9:30.
Do you remember the movie Signs?
Yes.
That's totally just what I'm thinking of.
I hate to say it, but I really do like that movie.
Yeah.
I liked it. I don't like Mel Gibson, but I liked that movie.
I did too.
All right. No, it's all good. Side squirreling. That's what we do. It's what we do, Conspiracy Asylum. I talk about my penis all the time. In my butthole. Side squirrel. 8:15 Mountain Standard Time. As he was driving north, he allegedly saw a cluster of reddish or orange lights in the sky, comprising of 4 lights together and a 5th light trailing them.
So wait, didn't the original report say there were 6 lights on the front line or the front edge? We lost the light somewhere.
Huh. Okay, as he was driving north, he allegedly saw a cluster of reddish or orange lights in the sky, comprising of 4 lights together and a 5th trailing them. Each of the individual lights in the formation appeared to the witness to consist of 2 separate point sources of orange light. So I think that's where the confusion probably came about, is that there's 2 different, it's like one light coming together, but it's got like 2 light bulbs. So maybe people were getting confused by that, but most of the reports do say 6. He returned home and through binoculars watched the lights until they disappeared south over the horizon.
Can you imagine looking through binoculars at that?
I don't even know if I'd really want to.
Oh my god, I'd pay to have
I'd probably do it just because that would be my
Can you
first
imagine
instinct.
if you had
but
like a professional camera with like a humongous lens? You could
Oh
just
my God.
like zoom in as far as you could.
TMZ, you giving me some money?
All those pictures, you know how much money that'd be worth? Oh my
no
goodness.
shit. Get the first freaking
I'd
picture
follow
of
it. I'd follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the first picture of what was his name? Valiant Thor. You ever hear of him?
Nope.
He was apparently a guy that he was an alien that came around in the 50s and worked with the U.S. government. And there's people that say that they have met him and his name is Valiant Thor and he is an alien.
Is he where the lizard people come from?
No. This is a
They're all
different story.
politicians too.
This is a different story.
Okay.
I don't really subscribe to the lizard people theory. Yeah. But if you do, that's your own cup of tea. You can have it. Prescott and Prescott Valley lights were also reportedly seen in the area of Prescott and Prescott Valley at approximately 2017 Mountain Standard Time. So again, 8:17. Callers began reporting the object was definitely solid. This is very key. The majority of the people said that this was solid. And that blows the whole flare theory right out the water.
Right.
Because it blocked out much of the starry sky as it passed over. So they could see that like the stars would disappear behind this boomerang shaped fucking thing. John Kaiser was standing outside with his wife and his sons in Prescott Valley when they noticed a cluster of lights to the west-northwest of their position. So west-northwest basically means about 10 degrees north of west. So if you start at west and you go about 10 degrees, then instead of going 45 to completely northwest. So it's right in between northwest and west. It's the west-northwest of their position. The lights formed a triangular pattern, but all of them appeared to be red except for the light at the nose of the object, which was distinctly white. Like the
lights keep changing.
Yeah,
colors.
the lights are, the whole thing is I mean, looking at it at different angles, that might be the thing too.
Maybe.
But I don't know. And this thing could be flashing different fucking lights. You know, our cars have different fucking lights.
So, totally, like, still related, but not quite where we are. How many people do you suppose in Arizona actually saw this craft?
Thousands.
Thousands?
I'd say thousands, because the majority of Phoenix saw them, including the governor of Arizona, and I'd say thousands.
If we have any listeners that actually got to witness this, write in. We want to hear
God,
about
yeah.
this.
Oh, God, yeah.
We want to hear your personal experience. You got pictures? We want to see them. That'd be great.
And I actually looked at the route on the map right before we did this, and this would have gone almost right. I mean, it wouldn't have gone right over where my cousins live, but it would have gone pretty damn close.
Well,
and I know he was living out there.
I've been to the Phoenix airport, so I'm wondering if that's
97, I would have been living in Nevada at that point too, but I was way north.
scary.
Yeah, 97 I was living in Mora. Never mind. I was back in Minnesota.
Gotcha.
96 is when we left Nevada. I
Good
lived out there
timing.
for 4 years. But we lived far away from like Roswell and stuff like that. And if you're wondering, Henderson is about, because everybody hears anywhere in Nevada, and if they're into anything alien, they want to see how far away it is, either from Roswell, New Mexico, or Area 51. And from Area 51, it's probably about 3 hours. 3 hours south, because it's just southwest of Las Vegas, or
Is that
southeast.
where you're from? Or that's where you lived?
No.
Oh.
Henderson is where the lights started.
Oh, okay.
And then I was talking about where Area 51 is. That's over by Rachel, Nevada,
Mm-hmm.
which is just straight north of Las Vegas, about 2.5 hours, 3 hours. But okay. So it's distinctly white. The light on front was distinctly white. The objects
you.
are objects. Huh?
Distinctly white like you.
Oh, I'm whiter than white, and I'm white, y'all. I don't care. I don't see color. Round eye. The object or objects which had been observed for approximately 2 to 3 minutes with binoculars then passed directly overhead of the observers. They were seen to bank to the right, and they then disappeared into the night sky to the southeast of Prescott Valley. The altitude could not be determined. However, it was fairly low and made no sound whatsoever. That's
Can you imagine how eerie
crazy.
that would be?
That would, I think I would be stuck in between shitting my pants and just excited as all fuck.
Right.
Like that's where I would probably be.
I need to take a half a bottle of Xanax. We're gonna die.
We're gonna die.
Alien is upon us. We're gonna
Jesus
die.
Christ.
They're coming to wipe out the human race.
The National UFO Reporting Center received the following report from the Prescott area. While doing astrophotography, I observed 5 yellow-white lights in a V formation moving slowly from the northwest across the sky to the northeast, then turn almost due south and continue out of sight.
Can you imagine making a sharp turn like that and then just disappearing?
Yeah.
That is not something our military could do.
No, not that we know of. That's the other like theory of what it could have been, like some kind of weird thing we were trying
Top
to...
secret military plane. Yeah, I kind
Right.
of doubt that though.
Yeah, it was way too big. First sighting from Phoenix. Tim Lay and his wife, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby.
Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby. His son, Hal, and his grandson, Damian Turnage, first saw the lights when they were above Prescott Valley, about 65 miles away from them. At first, they appeared to them as 5 separate and distinct lights in an arch formation, like they were on top of a balloon. But they soon realized that the lights appeared to be moving towards them. Over the next 10 or so minutes, they appeared to come closer and closer, and the distance between the lights increased, and they took on the shape of an upside-down V. Eventually, when the lights appeared to be a couple of miles away, the witness could make out a shape that looked like a 60-degree carpenter square with the 5 lights set into it. Oh my god, what is their obsession with carpenter squares?
I don't know.
With 1 on the front and 2 on each side. So there were many other witnesses in Arizona at the time. It ended up going over Phoenix and then traveling down to northern Mexico. But the second event, this is a separate event, and I'm going to say this is a separate event. Now, the military will tell you that this was the same event that everybody was seeing. But the second event, they scrambled some fighter jets randomly at 9:30 at night and dropped 5 flares for really no good reason.
Right, just to cover it up.
Really no good reason at all. So I don't know what the government was thinking here. They honestly can lie until people believe it, because there's enough people out there that are too afraid to come forward because they're afraid of the ridicule that they're going to have to face. It's pretty ridiculous. This aircraft had not traveled over an area where my cousin lived, but there was a young man from Kingman, Arizona, which is right around where my cousin lived, and I've been there many, many times. It says, quote, "The young man was en route to Los Angeles, called from a phone booth to report having seen a large and bizarre cluster of stars moving slowly in the northern sky." So let's get into some of the aftermath of the Phoenix Lights and the PR nightmare that really followed. That's kind of like the heart of this story now. It's big enough that we've seen the Phoenix Lights, that thousands of people saw it. There's no denying it.
Oh, but according to the government, it didn't happen. So
Exactly. To this day, it still is reported as flares. Both the 1997 incident and the 2007 incident. So shortly after the lights, Arizona Governor Fife Symington III held a press conference. Gotta love the thirds. I'm a third.
What if his name was actually Fifi?
His name ain't Fifi.
But it'd be great.
It is Fife. I've heard it before. It is Fife. But yeah, it would be pretty funny if his name was Fifi. Fifi Symington III held a press conference stating that they found who was responsible, in quotes. They found who was responsible, in quotes. He proceeded to make light of the situation by bringing his aide on stage dressed in an alien costume.
There's the culprit. There he is right there, making a big joke out of an alien costume.
Exactly.
And then they unmask him.
Exactly. And he's like, I don't know why this is, or what did he say? He said, "Bring the accused forward so we may look upon the face of the accused," or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And then he came out, his assistant came out in this goofy alien costume, and you could just feel the tension in the room. Just watching it, I could feel...
You could see how many people were pissed right at that second.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's basically telling everybody what they saw wasn't real. Just telling them that they're fucking crazy for thinking it was anything else.
Even though the whole room had seen it.
Exactly. Even including the governor, who was making fun of it at that point.
Well, he had to. For a political standpoint, he had to.
Exactly. He was like, "Bring the accused out here," and he came out there, and then he was like, "This just proves that you guys take this all too seriously." It's something along those lines. Not a quote, but something along those lines. And he goes and he takes the mask off of him. And it's one of his aides and stuff. And he kind of like fake chokes him or whatever. And this just pissed a bunch of people off.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of people.
Hand the mob some torches.
Yeah. Symington had come out and said that he had requested information from the commander at Luke Air Force Base, the general of the National Guard, and the head of the Department of Safety. And I can do this part from memory. I don't have to read this. That he, the only person that was able to even get through to Luke Air Force Base to get any kind of response was John McCain. Because at the time, John McCain was the senator of Arizona. So he got through and he said that, we need to know what the hell's going on here. There's a bunch of people that saw some stuff and they really saw this and we needed to know what the hell's going on. That's when they came out with the whole flare story and they blamed it on the flares that they had dropped that night. And these flares
Which happened later than when the actual incident happened.
Not only that, is that they had seen these lights from Henderson all the way, if you want to look it up on a map, Henderson all the way down to Mexico, which is the entire diagonal length of Arizona, basically. You're telling me people saw flares from that far away? No, for one. 2, this thing was clearly a solid object, and it was flying over and not casting a shadow, but like covering up stars, and I'm sure maybe even casting a little bit of a shadow. I mean, there's light.
Yeah.
There's light out there somewhat, so...
Can you imagine that thing floating over your house?
Oh my god. Like I said, I would be in between shitting my pants and coming in my pants, because I'd be excited.
So, put on a diaper before you go look outside.
Yeah, because I'm going to have stuff coming out all ends.
Oh boy.
I'm going to shit, cum, and puke, and shit'll start coming out my ears, and...
They'll sacrifice you since you're defective.
My night job. But years after the events, Fife Symington III actually came out and he had admitted that it happened.
He said an affidavit of it, didn't he?
No, that you're thinking of...
the other guy.
You're thinking of not Peniston, but you're thinking of Holt.
Yeah.
Charles Holt.
That's right.
But yeah, that was the other story.
Gotcha.
You're getting the stories that you're all mixed up. We're all mixed up a little bit.
I'll have what you're having.
But he did come out and he had admitted that he was wrong. Not a lot of people knew how many people were so mad until after Fife had come out and said this stuff. Because after Symington had come out and said this stuff, then people started coming forward with it. Because when he did this press conference and he ridiculed these people, basically, they all went into hiding. Because they didn't want to be ridiculed by everybody, so they didn't come forward with their stories. They kept them all inside. Deep inside, because they did not want to be the laughingstock of the neighborhood. They didn't want to be the tinfoil hat wearing blah blah blah. I don't give a shit. You can call me tinfoil hat. You could fucking taste my hot dog flavored water. That's what you can do. So I'd tell them.
Your hillbilly fell out.
A little bit hillbilly. I ain't got no hillbilly. Slow like hillbilly. I ain't got nothing against hillbillies. Some of them's is fun. In 2007, there was a repeat of these lights. And again, in 2007, they blamed it on flares. Once again, like we kind of went over at the beginning of this synopsis, that it's laughable.
Right.
You really gonna blame this on flares again? That's ridiculous.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, actually, Frances Barwood, the 1997 Phoenix City Councilwoman who launched an investigation into the event, said that over 700 witnesses she interviewed said the government never interviewed me even once. So anybody that had a story and tried to come forward, and this is 700 people. So imagine how many people actually had stories.
Right.
Because you got to think out of these 700, there's probably 100 that are lying. Just because they want some attention or something.
Right.
But you got to think how many people didn't come forward. It's probably way more than 700.
Oh, yeah, I could totally see that.
The fact of how big this thing was, it's got to be in the thousands. It's got to be in the thousands. And how far it traveled, it's got to be in the thousands.
I wonder at what point it actually took off and disappeared. Like, did it go down further into Mexico and then just decide to float away? Or I don't know. Nobody tracked it after Nevada, did they?
Well,
after Arizona.
Yeah, after Mexico, it wasn't really, there's not a lot of information on. After Sonora, Mexico, is where it pretty much disappeared. Yeah, so that was the Phoenix Lights. I hope you guys enjoyed this, our first ever, double-header subject episode. I think it went pretty well.
I like the second half better, personally, because I'm more alive for you guys now.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was pretty freaking tired.
But before we go, I am going to play you a little mix. I told you I didn't know if I was going to play any of the Halt tapes from the Rendlesham Forest part of the episode. But I am going to play you a little synopsis of it. It's probably a minute and 10 seconds long, if you can last that long into it. I kind of mastered it a little bit. I've been bragging to Kim that I've been learning how to fix up audio on this new program that I got on here, and I've been kind of nerding out. I took the Halt tapes and I kind of mastered them a little bit so it was easier to hear for you guys. And you can hear his reactions to these lights. And like I said, he sounds so freaking genuine. You listen to it.
Yep, I've heard it.
And he describes exactly what the hell's going on. And the guy seems like I would be.
Right.
In between shitting his pants and coming in his pants. Just in between.
Like, completely mystified. It's awesome.
Just, completely like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I'm scared shitless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like a thrill ride. Here is my little abridged version, our little abridged version of the Holt tapes. Hope you enjoy.
We just spoke to the first nightbird we've seen. We're about 150 or 200 yards from the site. Everything else is just deathly calm. There's no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. It's yellow. I saw a yellow tinge in it too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been. Yellow. It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There's no doubt about it. This is weird. To the left. Yeah, definitely moving left. Two lights. One light to the front, okay. One light to the left. Keep the flashlights off. There's something very, very strange. Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow center, a dark center. And the flash is so bright to the star scope that it almost burns your eye. Across in the next field now, we have multiple sightings of up to 5 lights with a similar shape and all, but they seem to be steady now rather than a pulsating or glow with a red flash. Okay, here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground.
But no, I definitely think that was something extraterrestrial. It's definitely, you can't explain that away. So, I mean, nice try with the lighthouse theory, but no, I definitely feel like that was more of the extraterrestrial variety there.
You don't think that was flares too?
Nah.
They didn't drop some flares over there too, and they kind of started wandering through the forest?
Right, because that's really going to cause indentations in the forest that are triangular.
Yeah, the karate chops in the ground.
Right.
So now the Phoenix Lights.
That'd be freaking cool to live through. I kind of wish that I could have saw it for
Do you
myself.
believe that it happened?
Absolutely,
Do you believe it's extraterrestrial?
I do too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
All right. So with the Rendlesham Forest incident, I absolutely believe everything that Charles Halt had to say. This guy, once again, had everything to lose, nothing to gain from coming out and saying this stuff. And when it's somebody that's basically incriminating themselves, you kind of have to believe them. You know? He is not getting any kind of, like, even if he's getting fame from this, what kind of fame is he getting?
Right, it could easily be a lot of negative attention instead of positive.
It most likely is more negative.
Right.
You know? Not only that one fact of him talking with my hands and the podcat grabbed me.
He's like, stop talking with your hands, Dad.
Oh my God, you're so cute. But not only with just Charles Halt and everything like that, Mr. Peniston, Mr. Peniston, I do believe him too.
I see Wiener.
Especially since he went under hypnosis and he started describing some really weird shit.
Oh, that'd be cool to see.
Well, yeah, he went under hypnosis and he was drawing in his notebook these symbols that he saw on the side and everything like that, and how he communicated basically telepathically by touching his unit and
touching his what unit?
His unit.
Well, okay. His joystick?
Yeah, I have to touch a lot of joysticks in my night job.
Oh my gosh.
I do. They get chocolate starfish and hot dog flavored water. I'm gonna have to end up paying Limp Bizkit for this episode. Limp Bizkit! No. Okay. Rendlesham Forest, I absolutely believe that it was extraterrestrial. I believe that it happened. I believe Mr. Holt. I believe Mr. Peniston. And if he is still alive, I do apologize, Mr. Peniston, for making fun of your name and making it Peniston. But like I said, I do have respect for you motherfuckers. You are military people. Thank you for all of that. And thank you for coming forward with the truth. That takes a lot of fucking balls, man.
Okay, and what about the Arizona Lights?
The Arizona Lights. I believe that that was an alien aircraft too. I think there's way too many witnesses, and the fact that, again, there's another witness that, you know, I don't want to take validity away from normal people, but this is another guy that, Fife Symington III, he had nothing to gain and everything to lose from coming out with this. And I kind of understand the spot that he was in as the governor. If he would have gone the other way and started a mass panic by saying, hey, that was alien, we need to do something about it, and I'm not getting any answers from the Air Force, it would have caused, like you said before, it probably would have caused...
CIA would have made him go missing.
Yeah, he would have been missing, air quotations, missing.
Or he would have been assassinated.
Yep.
Yeah.
By a lone gunman, crazy lone gunman.
Mm-hmm.
Again.
He's going to wait until he's in a limo, you know, somewhere in Houston.
Like I said, I absolutely believe them. I don't believe that 100% of the reports are correct because I think a lot of people probably piggybacked on it. I can't say for sure, but most likely, yes. Like, a lot of them were lies. And what sucks is those people that end up lying about it are the ones that... That's the reason that people don't believe shit like this, is there's people out there that want attention so fucking bad that...
Well, not just that, but they start believing their own lies.
Exactly.
Too.
There's pathological liars will go and believe their own lies. So it's like, as they say it enough, it's the truth.
Yep, it's their truth.
Hitler had the same thing in his head, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, he said it enough where he actually believed what he was saying. But we've given our opinions. Remember to answer the trivia question. And the trivia question was...
What was the most common shape that a shadow person shows up as?
Yes. What formation, what shape does a shadow person show up as? Very good question. And actually, on my bonus episode too, I don't even know if she know. No, you seen me do the bonus episode part of it. She watched me do some of it.
I criticized him from the kitchen.
Yeah, and I apologize to everybody for Kim not being on the last two episodes. That was me going rogue. I sometimes just get the itch and I really want to make a podcast.
And I got the itch to do some stress cleaning, so yeah. I was busy cleaning the house. Yeah.
Dyatlov I did like 2 weeks ago and kind of held it off until last week. And then Chris Benoit I did a couple days ago and then finally published it yesterday, which last I looked, less than 24 hours and we're at above 60 listens, which for me, that's a big deal.
Right. For his own personal podcast without me in it. That's pretty good for a personal best right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because most of the time I've noticed Kim kind of brings out the best in me when I'm doing this podcast and shit. So I like having her on the episodes.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I love you.
Blowing smoke up my ass.
Yes, I am.
And I love you
I'll blow something up out the ass.
Oh my gosh. No, you're not.
All the way up there. Up in that ass.
Oh my gosh.
All the way up there.
No.
Okay. Now, I think I'm going to end it.
No, you're not. Not like this.
Okay, no. Remember, we reserve the right to be wrong. If you got any theories, hit us up, theconspiracyasylum@gmail.com. Remember to visit conspiracyasylum.simdif.com. And you can go to the alien contacts section and you can contact us through there too. And that'll go straight to my Gmail. And you can also contact us on Twitter. You can personal message Kim. You can personal message my personal Twitter, but I don't really ever check that one. So personal message the Conspiracy Asylum Twitter, and you'll probably get a hold of me a lot faster. And remember to check out 727 Podcast, because I'm going to be on there within the next couple episodes, but their new episode they're coming out with is something to do with pizza and Hitler. There's something going on there with some pizza and some Hitler. So you guys are going to have to check that out. Remember, check out True Paranormal, Mysterious Circumstances. I'm loving that show too. And I know he's got a new podcast coming out now. I'm excited about that shit too.
I'm going to do a shout out to, what is this one? Drinking with Nerds podcast.
Yeah.
You've been following me and commenting quite a bit.
Yeah.
And the Realm of the Unknown podcast as well. I'm going to give you guys a shout out as well this week.
Yeah, I do appreciate you guys. Just you guys even like commenting on our shit and, getting involved. Tell us what you think. Whether you disagree with me or you agree with me, hit me up. I'll love to have a conversation with you guys. And remember to check out this guy's book. His name is Eric Bickernix. And the book that he has published, and I think it's free right now. For right now, it's free. And it's called High Strangeness. And I've started to read it a little bit. It seems really good. Judging by the cover, you can already tell that it's going to be about UFOs and aliens and such. So if you're into that cool stuff, go ahead and check that out. That's Eric Bickernix and High Strangeness. There's a book in the Amazon bookstore, and it's free right now. So go ahead, go check it out. Go hit him up and give him some props. Tell him that you heard about him from here. Conspiracy Asylum. Remember, hit us up. We got the Twitter. We got the Pinterest. Etsy.
Freeze. My God.
Shit.
Freeze.
We got Facebook. Gmail. Love you, co-conspirators. Pedicel is now open. You may leave. Say bye, babe.
Bye, guys.
Bye.